Google just announced the Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro, both of which launch on October 13th. The Pixel 7 will cost $600, just like last year's Pixel 6, while the Pixel 7 Pro will also keep the same price of $900. I've had the chance to go hands-on with both of these phones, and I can say that they both feel pretty similar to last year's devices, aside from some design tweaks. You'll notice the new color options, but more importantly, the new camera bar on the back of both phones is now made of metal. And this is a big difference from last year, and it really makes the camera bar feel a bit more bold, and you can tell that Google is really relying on the camera bar to be one of the main differentiating factors compared to other devices out there. And it's interesting that Google chose to highlight the camera physically because the camera is one of the biggest differences in this year's phones. Both phones are getting a much better zoom that Google says should replicate close optical zoom. Now for the regular Pixel 7, you won't get quite as much zoom because it does not have a separate telephoto lens. You're still getting a 50 megapixel sensor and then also an ultra-wide sensor. But Google is actually using the sensor a bit differently this year to improve zoom. So on the Pixel 7, that 50 megapixel sensor will be able to crop in when you zoom at 2x to replicate the quality of a 2x optical lens. The Pixel 7 Pro does that, but it also does a bit more since it has a 48 megapixel telephoto lens in addition to the other cameras present on the Pixel 7. So what Google's doing that's different this year on the 7 Pro is it's using that zoom data from the 48 megapixel sensor and combining it with the field of view from the 50 megapixel sensor so that you get a close, crisp zoom and a broader field of view at the same time. So again, these are mostly under the hood changes that we'll have to really play around with the phones to see how much of an improvement there really is over last year's phones. Aside from zoom, Google has also improved some of the features that we've seen in last year's phones. For example, you might be familiar with face unblur if you have a Pixel 6 phone. This feature, just like the name implies, will take a photo where the subject has been moving and freeze their face so that they look sharp. But now, on the new phones, Google is making it possible to do this with older photos as well. So if there's a photo that you took on a phone from 6 years ago and it's a bit blurry, theoretically you should be able to use photo unblur to make that photo look crisp and sharp. But again, we'll have to try it out ourselves to know for sure. And these features rely on the G2 processor, which is driving both the Google Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7 Pro. So photo unblur is going to be exclusive to those phones for now. Aside from the new processor, which is mostly useful for powering some of these new photography features we've been talking about, and the new design, there really isn't much else that's new with Google's new Pixel phones. We'll have to put them to the test to see how different they really are from the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, but so far it seems like a minor improvement over last year's phones, which is totally okay with me because last year was a really big overhaul to the Pixel family. You know, Google introduced this new redesign and its own tensor chip, so it makes sense that this year's improvement would be a little bit more incremental. But again, we'll have to check them out to know for sure. I'm Lisa Eadicicco, CNET's mobile expert. Don't forget to subscribe to see our full reviews, and thanks for watching.